We're staying in our interface.dwg file, and in this particular video I'm going to show you how to utilize the status bar to your advantage when you're working in AutoCAD. Now, I mentioned this a little bit in the previous video when we were talking about dynamic input. Now, dynamic input is always switched on in a default installation of AutoCAD, but you can't control the settings because the dynamic input icon is not switched on the status bar bottom right of your AutoCAD screen. So how can you switch settings on and off on your status bar and use it to your advantage in AutoCAD? Very quick and easy. Go right down to the bottom right corner and you'll see what is called the hamburger icon, which is three little horizontal lines, just there. Hover over it, it says customization. Click on it, and you'll notice now lots of different tools available on that menu on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, we're going to switch some of those settings on so that we can use AutoCAD and its status bar to our advantage. So if you go to the top, click on coordinates. We're going to switch that on. Coming down, there's dynamic input. We'll switch the dynamic input icon on as well. We're also going to switch on line weight. And as we come down, you'll see there's lots of other ones available as well, things like units, quick properties, and so on. What it might be worth doing is switching on our units as well. And that will also display on the status bar. When you're done, just click on the little hamburger icon again, like so. Now, you'll notice the status bar has now changed. There are more icons on the status bar, more settings. So there's our unit settings just here where it says decimal. Click there. There's all our different unit displays that we can use in our AutoCAD drawing. Make sure it is set to decimal. Moving along now, as you can see, if we move along, we've got various ones. There's line weight. Now, line weight at the moment is off. If I switch that on, any objects that have a line weight that is thicker than the default will now display. Turn line weight off again, they go back to the default line weight again. And then moving along, we've got things like object snaps are on, object snap tracking, auto snap is on. As I move along though, there's the dynamic input that we switched on. So if I right click on the DIN mode icon, you don't ever want to turn it off. If it's grey like that, click on it, make sure it's blue. And then right click on it and hover over dynamic input settings and click on it. That will open up the drafting settings. Now, all of your drafting settings are controlled by the settings in the status bar. If you right click over any of the relevant icons in the status bar, you'll get this drafting settings dialog box. Notice you've got things like object snap, snap and grid, polar tracking. These are all icons down here on the status bar. Now, because I right clicked over dynamic input, there's the dynamic input tab. I can change the settings of my dynamic input like so. So I can switch on pointer input, dimension input, etc. Now, I use all of the default dynamic input settings. I never change them. But if you wanted to change them, drafting tooltip appearance, you can change the colors, change the size, etc. It's all in there for you to change. I suggest you check it out and have a look. I'm going to click on cancel because I don't want to make any changes. Last but not least, as I move the crosshair around, I'm moving around in a coordinate-driven environment using what they call Cartesian coordinates, created by a guy called Cartes way back when. If you look Cartes up in Wikipedia, for example, you'll find out how he set up the coordinate system. Now, if we come down here, though, I've switched on coordinates. So as I move my mouse around, it's letting me know what the coordinates of that cursor are in the drawing area. Because model space is a coordinate-driven space, and it's based on the origin of 0, 0, and x and y, and so on. So as you can see there, when I move that crosshair around, it's giving me a coordinate readout as well. Now, if I right-click on those coordinates, you'll notice I can go to specific, geographic, absolute, or relative, depending on how I'm working with those coordinates. They're all grayed out at the moment because I'm just using a standard model and it's set to metric, and that's basically it. We're just using a specific setting within our AutoCAD drawing. But you can see there how that status bar can really be utilized to your advantage with different settings, different icons, and so on.